Hi, everyone. I am angled this way to give you a good view of my co host today. This is Demelza. Hello, baby. And she sometimes likes to park herself on the back of my office chair, and I was just going to let her stay there until she decided to move. You must let cats have their way sometimes. Other times you have to put your foot down, but I can never put my foot down very hard because she and her brother Ross are just so darn beautiful. Anyway, I usually try to vlog on things that are a part of my geek life. Books that I've loved, movies that I've enjoyed, television shows I like, that sort of thing. But every now and then, something in the socio political realm calls itself to my attention, and I feel compelled to address it. In this case, it is the following quote from Katie Miller. And if you're not sure who Katie Miller is, well, congratulations, you are better off. Those of us who know who she is are also familiar with, we know her through her husband, Stephen Miller, who, if you Google his name and you'll see a picture of him, he is basically Joseph Goebbels. He just, you look at him and he oozes slime. And I feel like I can say this because nobody I know and love, I do have loved ones who have voted Republican and continue to vote Republican, but no one elected Stephen Miller. He is a garbage head. Just to give you an idea of the kind of garbage head he is, it's widely known that when he was in high school, can't remember whether it was high school or middle school, but anyway, he actually told a classmate that they could not be friends because the other kid was a Latino and he could not be friends with a Latino. So that's the type of individual we're dealing with here. And this quote comes from the woman who thought this man was husband material. This is something she said to Laura Ingraham in an interview on Fox News. Feminism in our country was founded to dismantle the family unit. If you look at the rise of feminism in our country, it also correlates to a decline in birth rates. Feminism pushed women into the workplace. Now, I am not going to do what others have done and call out the hypocrisy of Katie Miller saying this to Laura Ingraham when, despite being conservatives, both women have careers and thrive in the workplace. A little bit of freedom for me, but not for thee. And I'm not going to introduce the topic of birth rates. I really want to look at the first and last sentence of that quote and examine why this is mistaken. First of all, feminism did not push women into the workforce. It gave women the choice to pursue higher education and a career if that's where their mind and heart led them. Feminism was not founded to dismantle the family unit. It came about to address the injustice of a situation where parents will say to their sons, what do you want to be when you grow up? You've got unlimited choices. Well, maybe your choices are a little bit limited by things like access to education, by things like the social class you're born into. Maybe there are some limitations, but those limitations have nothing to do with gender. You're not shut out of any career because you are a man. But then to look at your daughters and say, what do you want to be when you grow up? You got maybe 6 options, and when you get married, you're probably going to have to give up any one of the 6 that you chose. Does that sound fair? I cannot find any logic where that is a fair and just distinction. To tell boys they can do anything, but to tell girls that there's only so much you can do. You can't really color outside the lines, and you cannot follow your dreams. We encourage boys and men to pursue their dreams, but on the more conservative side of things, at least in the past, it's been, well, I'm gonna use a Lord Byron quote. This is from Don Juan. That's how the name is actually pronounced, Don Juan, in Byron's poem. Elsewhere it's Don Juan, but here in Byron land it's Don Juan. Man's love is of man's life a thing apart. 'Tis woman's whole existence. So what feminism did is it questioned whether this had to be the case, challenged the notion that this was all there was, or that this should be all there was for women. It was not founded, it did not come about because of some sinister plan to dismantle the family unit. It came about to address injustice. Also, the issue of pushing women out of the workplace didn't do that. It just gave them the choice. It expanded the amount of choices, the amount of options open to women in terms of what we want to do with our lives. So, if giving this choice amounts to pushing women into the workplace, what you're really saying, think about what that says. It says that women would not choose for themselves a traditional path. They wouldn't choose for themselves to be a wife, a stay at home wife and mom, if there were any other option open to them. If there were any other option open to them, they would reject home and motherhood. If offering the choice amounts to pushing women into the workforce, then that traditional option, the wife and mother option, must be the worst thing in the world. The people who say this must, at least in their subconscious, know this. If we respected the traditional path, if we honored the traditional path, then there wouldn't be any problem with offering choices. There wouldn't be any problem with offering other options, because plenty of women would choose that traditional path because they wanted to, because that's where their heart and minds were leading them, because that's where their desires and their interests and their gifts pointed them toward. But the idea that simply offering a choice pushes women into the workplace, well, that says something about how people really feel about that traditional option. Plus, the use of the word push itself relies on another sexist notion. Something else is implied. And this is typical of sexist thinking, because if feminism pushed women into the workforce, that suggests that it was somehow against their will. And that implies that we women don't know what we want. We have to be told what we want. We have to be told what would make us happy. We can't try things out and try to figure things out for ourselves. No, we need to be told. We need to be led, not pushed. We need to be guided by others who know what's best for us better than we do. Does that sound logical to you? Because it doesn't really hold water for me. The idea that if we acknowledge that women are thinking beings, if we acknowledge that we have some sort of autonomy, some sort of mind and soul and heart that makes us who we are as individuals, that somehow we can't think it out, we can't try it out, we can't figure it out for ourselves, what is the best choice that will make us happy? What is the best choice that will enable us to use our gifts as individuals to make a positive difference in the world? I did not go to grad school because anybody pushed me. Nobody made me, nobody bullied me, nobody even deceived me into going to graduate school. I did it because I wanted to. I got my PhD in English because I wanted to. It was a choice that I made. And when I pursued a career as a college level English teacher, when I got my job at Life University, nobody pushed me to take it. Nobody pushed me to pursue it. I did that. And if it was a mistake, which it wasn't, but if it had been a mistake, that would have been my mistake. It would have been on me. I would own it. But the idea that if you're a woman that somehow you need to be led or pushed in one direction or the other, that is an insult. And it makes no logical sense. It flies in the face of the idea, first of all, that all women are not the same, that we are individuals, that each of us is unique. We have our own aspirations, our own interests, our own gifts, that we have an individual self, a soul to give to the world. It flies in the face of that. We don't know what we want. We need other people to tell us. That's garbage, I think. So just consider that. Consider the women around you. Respect who they are. Respect that each person, whatever their gender, is an individual who deserves the choice of their own future. Thank you.